Okay, you know what? Let's try that again. Seems like the first time around the audio wasn't working. So we'll see if I'll probably have an extra video we need to delete. Let's go ahead and get you a link. Seems like it's been streaming this entire time. The stream is continuing, it says. So I might need to put some kind of caveat that the audio isn't working. So please hold on just a second while I get us a link to the video. I know. Watching the professor do all this isn't quite that enjoyable, but we're gonna get live now. Excellent. To the video, then streamception. I know. Watch. Create the announcement. Live broadcast link. How y'all doing tonight? Hope you're doing great. Okay. Warning. First minute or so may not have audio. Skip ahead a minute or two, and I fix it. Smiley face, and there we go. Alright, now that you all have the live broadcast link, let's go ahead and get rolling on the topic of our tonight, which is we are kind of swapping. We are kind of, wrapping up the semester, really. So that is a goody good. Okay, my current live streams. I'm just trying to get the page open so I can see. That is not quite what I wanted. Yeah, we're closing up the semester. It is wrapping up, and we're doing great. Things are doing fine. Think things are in general are going good. I'm not really concerned about us successfully wrapping up the semester. I think we'll be doing all right. Okay, we have one person watching. Hello. Okay, let's get going. Comm 210 and the last two projects. So again, for a reminder for everybody, tonight you need to turn in your speech for this persuasive speech that you've been working on for a few weeks. That is due tonight at midnight. Based on the emails that I've received, I think you're all well aware of it. So, but don't forget. Now, this week's stuff. There's a couple of things. Don't forget to do the survey by this Friday, April 28th. And by the survey, I guess I should specify here, is not that. Let's go ahead here. There we go. Course content links. Right down here is the Comm 210 assessment survey end of semester. I did check. We opened it up. It works. So please go ahead and fill this out like you did at the beginning of the semester. Please do that by a Friday, please. That would be awesome. Oh, I gotta do the whole slideshow rigmarole again. Nope, no, we don't. Okay, awesome. Next is we're going to do a peer critique. I guess we'll not call it a project, but a peer critique assignment. By Saturday, April 29th, I would like for you to go to the discussion board. Look for your name. No one in here, I believe, has the same first name as anyone else. So just look for your first name. I've assigned you into groups of 4. And so you only need to watch 4 people's speeches. But anyway, so you go to the appropriate discussion board, upload or give your YouTube link for your persuasive video under your group. So you'll create a new thread. You'll either copy and paste your YouTube video link there, or you will upload your video as a file. If you cannot upload your video as a file, please do upload it to YouTube and make sure that you set the video to be, if you're a private person, make sure you set it to your privacy option to anyone with this link can view it. That way it's not listed, it doesn't searchable, but anyone that you give the link to will be able to watch it. Kind of how you do it, how you might do it for me. All right. So go ahead and do that by this Saturday, April 29th, at the end of the day. That's implied that it's 11:59 p.m. By Tuesday, so I know that's a kind of a fast turnaround. You get Sunday and Monday to kind of go and watch the videos. Um, you know what? I'm about to make a split decision here because I know we don't have a whole lot of days left. But you know what? Let's go ahead and make that Wednesday, May 3rd. So let's go ahead and end the show here. Let's switch this out to Wednesday. Give you an extra day. I didn't realize I was really only giving you 2 days. I thought I was giving you 3 or 4. But that is not correct. Let's go ahead and save that, and we'll go from current slide. Oh, it messes up my view again. uh, okay, there we go. So by Wednesday, May 3rd, you will want to go to that discussion board, watch your videos, watch the videos of your peers, and give them basically 3 sentences. All right, you reply to that person's thread with their video link, and you say one thing you really liked about their speech, followed by one thing they could do to improve. And again, please be kind. Don't say things like, man, you really sucked. I really hate speeches about smoking. You really could have done better by just not being born. Don't say stuff like that. Okay? I don't think that's really going to be a problem with the level of maturity that I've seen in this group. However, I guess it goes with saying that, you want to say things like, I think your speech could have improved by looking up at the camera a little more often. Or maybe saying things like you could have improved by maybe instead of using note cards, you could have used a piece of paper or a poster board behind the camera so that you could read your speech there, or something like that. Give them some tips or advice about how to improve, and be kind. Don't just tell them that they suck. If I will read the discussion, I read all the discussions that you do. I know I don't really give you feedback or give you paragraphs about what I did or did not like about your posts. But they're really meant for like a participatory thing, and so this is kind of a participatory thing. So be kind to one another. If I see that you're not kind to one another, I will make the hammer go down. Like I said, I will watch the forums to make sure that happens. And then, of course, end your post on one other thing that you like about their speech. This is what we call in critical or criticism circles the sandwich. You want to have the 2 things you like being like the bread, and one thing you don't necessarily want to see again, or the thing you want to see improve, I guess I should say. Again, we're trying to be kind. That's kind of like the meat of your sandwich. All right. So the whole post for each person is just 3 sentences minimum. If you want to write more than that per person, that is up to you. But please do know that is a burden that you are taking upon yourself. The instructions literally say write 3 things, 1 thing of each kind. All right. So what's the final project here? The final project in our class is going to be what we call the bucket speech, and this is the last speech you'll give. And this will wrap us up for the whole semester. You can choose to focus on, I guess, you can choose what nonprofit organization to focus on. This is going to be kind of a different kind of speech in that it's going to be a speech that's going to involve hopefully a little preparation on your end, but also is trying to get you to use your newfound persuasive speaking ability to do something beneficial for your community. All right. Now I'm going to have in this PowerPoint here, we're going to talk about it very briefly. This might actually be the shortest live broadcast yet. I know I say that every semester, but I don't really have a lot to say, except for assigning you these 2 assignments and encouraging you to do a good job. But anyway, you should choose a nonprofit organization to support. It should be in your local community. What I was building up to there was that I have a list of this is already loaded up on Blackboard, but there's a list of organizations towards the end of this PowerPoint here that you can choose that are in Muncie. I don't care. Ultimately, if you are in, Fairbanks, Indiana, I don't care if you choose an organization in Muncie or one that's local to you. I do know that there are some communities that I know there are charitable organizations in all communities, but sometimes you may not know what those are, and it might be more effort to figure out if there is in fact a local animal rescue organization in your town than it is to just look up something that you see on this list. So either choose something from this list or choose something that's local to you, or maybe an organization that's like truly national that you could, that has a branch office somewhere in Indiana. There's not a whole lot of requirements here for this topic. I know I'm spending a lot of time on it, but the idea is that it's a nonprofit organization that you would like to support and encourage your classmates to support. So when do you need to turn in this last speech? That would be next Wednesday, May 3rd, 2017, 11:59 p.m. I know this is going to be a fast turnaround, but this speech is hopefully going to be very short and relatively easy for you to complete. And the reason I say that is, well, first of all, the reason why I've chosen Wednesday as the due date is because as an online section, we don't have any like prescribed finals times. However, I do know that we need one more speech. It's in the syllabus that we have it. I kind of have to hold you to it. So I've chosen a short type of speech, 5 minutes maximum. If you go more than 5 minutes, you can feel free to cut things out. I don't think it'll be a problem. You guys have all been well within the time limit for each speech. So anyway, the point is, I know it's a fast turnaround, but if we do it on Wednesday, that means I can give you, if you need extra time, I can give it to you. If you don't, if I say it's due on Friday for everybody, then if you need extra time, you just kind of, what we say, SOL. And you can figure out what that abbreviation stands for. So Wednesday, May 3rd is the date for everybody. If it turns out that you're like, oh my gosh, there's no way I'll get it done by that time, let me know, and we can figure out some kind of accommodation for you. But otherwise, let's say it's Wednesday. The speech is 5 minutes maximum. You only need 2 sources. And for this one, you just need to cite it inside your speech like you've been doing all semester since the informative speech. You say according to, author, publication, date published. And you need to create 3 arguments to support your nonprofit organization. And again, that's a claim, data, warrant set. If those terms are not quite familiar with you yet, a claim is a statement that you want the audience to believe. Data is information, probably from your sources here, that you believe supports your claim. And then your warrant is a logical reason why your data supports your claim. Okay, so that's what we mean by 3 arguments. These are your main points. Each argument is your main point in your body. All right, and don't forget that you need to have an introduction and a conclusion. And you're probably wondering, well, how do I format this speech? Well, actually, instead of having a new kind of outline, you can use any of the outlines that you've used throughout the semester. Okay, so you could use Monroe's motivated sequence, or you could use the more general outline that you used for your informative speech, but do remember that this is still a persuasive speech. So even though you're using the whole introduction is this, and then main point looks like this, main point 2 looks like this, main point 3 looks like this, remember it's still supposed to be persuasive in content. All right, so you can still use the Monroe's motivated sequence pattern, because the difference between those 2 outline types wasn't really so much the kind of speech as it was that Monroe's motivated sequence required you to say certain things, whereas the other one was just kind of general. So you can use either outline format to structure your speech. I will count either one. Just remember that this is persuasive in content. It's not really informative. You are trying to convince the audience to support a particular nonprofit organization. And you're probably saying something like, here I have the topic for you. It says, encourage your classmates to donate to a charitable organization. And donate here is not meant necessarily to mean money. It can mean donate whatever X you want. So it could be money, it could be time, it could be clothing, it could be food, it could be whatever. You could donate to whatever makes sense for whatever charitable organization that you choose. Okay, but that is your topic. So let's go ahead and talk about some nonprofits here. These are nonprofits again in Muncie because this is the community that I know. So if you're interested in animals, here are some selections for you. ARF is a good one. Animal Rescue Fund is pretty good. We get a lot of speeches also about Muncie. This is supposed to be Muncie Humane Society, but the Muncie Human Society might need some charitable donations as well. Anyway, if you're interested in environment or environmental education, we have the lovely Minnetrista Center, and we also have the Cardinal Greenway organization that supports that trail that is being built and maintained. And of course, we have a kind of a unique charity here called the Back to School Teacher Store. I don't know if you are up with the politics in Muncie, but the local school district is kind of in a financial bind right now, and so this would be a very good and timely organization if you have the interest in education to kind of learn about and donate to. There will be a lot of sources. Not necessarily on this organization particularly, but there'll be a lot of sources about what's going on in Muncie Community Schools and what kind of help they need. And when you look up what this organization can do, you'll anyway. I think the speech kind of writes itself, to be honest. Moving on, there's a couple of arts and culture things. Again, Minnetrista shows up. It's a multifaceted organization. We have a civic theater here. That you can try to get people to donate to or donate time to or get interested in. Let's see, childcare. That's a big industry, not industry, but a big concern these days. And we have lots of different childcare organizations. This is just a small sample of them. I'm not sure if it's going to be on. I'm not sure if it's on here or on another slide. But we also have a Muncie Children's Museum that accepts charitable donations. So if you're interested in museums and children, researching and encouraging people to donate to a children's museum might be a fun topic for you. Of course, we have healthcare and hospice. Now, I've actually had a couple of students that have asked me what a hospice is, and I guess I'll explain what that is right away. A hospice is a special kind of, I guess we'll call it a terminal care, when you don't expect a patient to live. All the treatments have failed for whatever is ailing them. They might have hospice care. Usually it takes the form of someone either coming to their residence, to provide them with some kind of medical care and comfort. Other times they might be in a nursing home or an assisted living facility. Well, that's kind of what a hospice is. And so they're kind of in need of supplies, and particularly things like I don't know how to describe it. Things that games to play, things to kind of take your mind off of things. Anyway, so that's what my clumsy explanation of what hospice care is. Otherwise, you've got other healthcare organizations here, like the American Cancer Society, the hospital, and other charities here. Homelessness, if you're someone who's interested in that, we've got Muncie Mission, which is, I guess you could say, with the YWCA, is kind of like the two. We have three organizations here. These are the two that I would say is in the press a lot, that you could probably find a lot of resources on, that support the homeless in Muncie. And then we have community housing. YMCA and YWCA do provide housing. Usually it's kind of like, I don't know, call them trailers or small rooms that are heated for people. They're always trying to expand those efforts. Of course, American Red Cross and the Public Library. That's just kind of a general community thing. Hunger and disability. There are several of them. throughout the community. Salvation Army usually has a lot of sources on it, and you can make a good speech fairly quickly about that. There's also one that's not on here, which is called Feed My Sheep, which I actually believe is kind of an offshoot or even a mutation of the Second Harvest Food Bank here. But you can do anything like that if hunger interests you. And of course, corrections. We've got the Pendleton Reformatory, which is not too far away. Fun fact, we used to teach Comm 210 at Pendleton. It was a great program. It was actually the students were very interested and good. So I recommend maybe researching some more about the Pendleton Reformatory and what kind of services they need and what kind of services they provide, not just to inmates but to the community. It's very interesting, something that you may not expect from a prison. I'm sorry, it's a reformatory. Older adults, you've got various nursing homes and assisted care homes if helping the elderly is and elderly community centers interest you. Youth mentoring, I mean, any of these programs here. There it is, Muncie Children's Museum. And in parentheses is one of the outshoots of the Union Chapel Children's Program. So that is also something that's in the news a lot. You can find information specifically about Muncie Children's Museum and how people can help. I've also worked with the Bewley Center myself, and they're in the news quite a bit. Like I said, it's one of those speeches that kind of writes themselves. If you Google it, you can find some newspaper articles about what kind of help they need, what kind of services they provide. Motivate Our Minds, very similarly. I wasn't involved directly in it, but I have colleagues that are, and again, they're in the news a lot. You can find some sources on that pretty easily. And really any of these other sources here. And finally, we have the Ross Community Center that you can choose to research and write about. They provide a lot of good stuff for the community and children. And women's issues, A Better Way, is a great way to talk about various women's issues in Muncie and what kind of help and services they provide / need. So there you go. There you have it. There's a quick and dirty list of things you can choose. I know that was a bit rambly there, but it was a lot of there's a lot of organizations here in Muncie. Of course, you can choose to do one that is near your area. I really don't mind about that. Or if it's more broad, a national one. As you can see, I had some national organizations on that list, like the Red Cross, things like that. But do try to choose something that somebody could, in your area. I know we're taking this class all over the place, but either in your area or failing that, maybe you just don't know of anything that's nearby. Pick something from that list that's in Muncie, because I do know that all the organizations on that list do have newspaper articles about them. They do have press releases about them. They have websites. They have search engine optimization. So you can find information about them and be fairly easy to write a quick 2-source speech about it. Again, the maximum, where do I have the requirements for this thing? The maximum is 5 minutes, all right? That's just about enough time to make 3 arguments that are claim data warrant based and have an intro and conclusion of some variety. It will go by very quickly. And I hope if this due date is not reasonable for you, please contact me. We'll see if we can push that back a day or two. I will, as a word to the wise, I want to make sure that I can grade these and get them graded properly. There is a rubric in your workbook. I'm just kind of turning to it now. Obviously, we're changing some of the requirements for the speech because in the regular sections, and they're already starting to give these actually. It's an 8-minute speech, and I'm just not going to have you do that much work in the last week of class, because the way they do it is they basically started this speech right after they came back from the previous speech, the one that you guys have just done. Basically almost no stop. They might have met in class like once or twice for a normal session, and then they went right into these for an 8-minute speech for the rest of the semester. But if you're curious, um, it's the same assignment that I've just described to you, but they have more sources and a longer time period. If you want to look at the rubric, it's on, for me, it's on page 161 in your workbook. I will be grading you on these things here that are listed here. You know, things like I'll create a link for you to put your outline and a reference list. You have your introduction that gains interest and credibility. This is pretty boilerplate by now. That's why I'm kind of flying through it. It's because you've seen this now at least 3 times. You also saw it in your very first speech. So anyway, you know, your body says main points clear. Whether you supported your points with examples, i.e. this stuff right here. Let's see, did you use your sources cited correctly? You know, author, publication, date. Did you have a conclusion? Was your delivery clear? And of course, like from last time, did you have good persuasive strategies? So again, that's on 161. It's a very fast rubric, very general. So yeah, that's about it. I might. See, I even have to think about it. It depends on what questions and interaction I get from you over the next week. My thinking being that if I don't broadcast next week, I'm actually giving you more time to work, is my idea, because then you don't have to watch me yammer on for an hour. And I know that for a lot of us, just watching this video is an entire day's worth of work. And you would probably, you know, for this, at least for this class, because I know that many of you are taking all online courses, and therefore watching an hour video is probably all you're going to do for that day. Or a half-hour video is probably all you might do for that particular day in that class. So I would almost assume not to broadcast next week. But if I get a lot of questions that kind of coalesce around a theme, or we have a lot of the same concerns, or it seems like nobody can get the project done by Wednesday, May 3rd, maybe I'll do a live broadcast. It won't be scheduled like the regular ones. I guess what you should know, especially if you're an online student, is that next week is our finals week, which means that the schedules for on-campus courses are all messed up. Everybody's taking exams. They're not really having regular class. So that's why I'm kind of rambling on about whether or not we'll have a live broadcast. There's not really any reason to broadcast next Wednesday because you're turning in your final project. So there you go. But you know, like I said, if it turns out we have a lot of questions, or they're all centered around things I can talk about, then I'll probably broadcast spontaneously on either Monday or Tuesday to try to address those concerns to you as a whole group, so that you have enough time to implement any kind of advice I have to give you by Wednesday, or by whatever due date we end up giving you if you need an extension. All right, well, that really is it. I see that there are 2 people watching my broadcast. If there happen to be any questions, I'm going to let it sit here awkwardly for about a minute. And then, assuming there aren't any questions, I'll log out. This was a quick and clean broadcast tonight. Just about 30 minutes. Just waiting on any questions. You know what? While I'm waiting on that, let me yammer on again. Don't forget to do the survey, the end of semester survey, by this Friday. Again, you can find that survey under the course content section of our Blackboard. All right, it's this one. I know I kind of messed up this one here, but this one is open. If you click on it, it takes you there. You can fill it out. Please do this by Friday so that they have this information. And there's your groups. You don't necessarily need to see that. They're already on Blackboard, and this information is already loaded up on Blackboard as well. All right. I didn't see any questions from the group in chat. So thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate your attention and keep up the good work. You guys are doing great. Um, I did see a couple of videos before I did tonight's broadcast. It seems like the people who I've seen so far are up on it. They know what you're doing. I'm looking forward to seeing your last speech. I'm looking forward to see how you critique and interact with your classmates, so that you can see what other people are doing. So I'm excited for the end of the semester. I'm sure you guys are too. You're doing great so far. Please do keep up the good work. Thanks, and I will contact you by email, or you'll contact me by email if you need any help. And don't necessarily plan on a live broadcast next week, but depending, like I said, depending on whether or not we have a lot of questions or we have a crisis about whether or not we can turn it in by Wednesday, then I'll make a live broadcast, but it won't be on the regular time. Next week is finals week. It's the last week of school, so all schedules are mixed around and messed up. I just kind of assume that you would appreciate that time for work, and thanks again. Have a great evening.